Hello everyone and welcome to the Sales Acceleration University, brought to you by InsideSales.com. This week we'll be looking at sales strategy to help you sell smarter, sell faster and sell more. The title of today's webinar is The 4 Pillars of Inside Sales, Creating a High-Performance Inside Sales Team. Now I just want to point out that we'll be talking about inside sales quite a lot today, and by that we mean inside sales the function rather than InsideSales.com. Now we're very lucky to have Kevin Kelly with us today. Kevin is the co-owner and managing partner at the Protelos Group, and prior to that he was the inside sales director at Pitney Bowes. Kevin is also the chapter president of the AAISP, which is the American Association of Inside Sales for the UK. So welcome, Kevin. And we also have our very own John Simpson with us today. John is the Director of Solutions Consulting in EMEA for InsideSales.com. So I'll quickly just go over the agenda. So we'll start off by having a look at process, defining a clear go-to-market strategy. Then we'll move on to people, building the inside sales team. Thirdly, we'll go to technology, using tech to sell more. And lastly, we will have a look at data, applying data science to the sales process. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Kevin.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. It's great to be here with John today. Creating a high-performance inside sales team is highly relevant in today's business environment, I think. It's a big subject to condense in a short presentation, and my hope is that it will give you some kind of a guide or framework to develop your own thought process in this space as you go forward. Before we look at some of the key pillars, I would just like to touch on the current sales landscape, if that was okay. Okay, so let me share some of these key facts from key study sources. I think it's important to go through these if we can. You may find some of these quite startling. You may not. Right. So let me walk through some of these. 23% of companies never respond to inbound leads. Shocking. No comment necessary, actually. 35 to 50% of sales go to the company that responds first. Buying behaviors have changed. They will not wait for you. Be proactive and get there first. 42 hours is the average response time for an inquiry. Will a customer wait this long? I don't think so. And let's look at two more. 59% of clients declare that they are likely to use inside sales or web for simple transactions. Here they're really highlighting speed and simplicity. That's the key area here. The last one, 59% of clients' buying decisions are based on information sourced online before they even speak to a salesperson. You know, clients are smart. Clients are clever. They have technology at their fingertips. This statement is no surprise to me. Interesting metrics, all 5. Please use these as a point of reference as we go through this presentation. One thing I've been asked to make reference to was always to define what inside sales really is. As I've been asked to do this many times, the questions come out, is it telesales? Is it telemarketing? Is it appointment setting? My answer tends to be the same. I always make reference to a certain Forbes 2013, I think, article written by Ken Krogh, who's the co-founder of InsideSales.com. He defines it the best, I believe, as professional sales done remotely. This makes perfect sense to me, as I've always believed that a professional inside sales primary function was always to sell. So, definition addressed. Let's look at why inside sales are so relevant right now. Okay, we are living in a digitally connected world, there's no doubt. This is no longer even up for debate about whether client behaviors are changing right now. They already have. Inside sales teams have made a massive impact to companies' revenue streams throughout the UK in 2016. Inside sales is now a recognized sales channel. Huge growth in teams is clearly expected in 2017. We are now dealing with techno-savvy buyers without question. High-definition video conferencing allows a solution to be presented without a face-to-face meeting in person. Game-changing. Ask anybody in sales or marketing right now, and they will tell you that inside sales is the hottest game in town right now. Right, so pillar 1, define a clear go-to-market strategy. Okay, so a GTM strategy is effectively an action plan that specifies how a company will reach clients and achieve competitive advantage. I have segmented this particular slide into 2 buckets or segments. Key objectives will be set in place, and these will be aligned to some key deliverables. I've given a selection of samples in either segment, but of course, there could be many more I could have included. Let's start with some objectives. The key here is not to try to do everything, but focus on some core issues and nail them. Define your to-be journey. What do you want to look like in 2 to 3 years' time? Is it important, and it absolutely is, to map this process? Think about client buying behavior. Think about the client journey of choice. Look in particular at where you want your sales channels to focus on. That's web, inside sales, and field in particular. Let's go down to the next one. Improve client coverage. Start with the client and work backwards. Very simple. Focus on the right coverage model that makes sense for you. Client segmentation in particular will support driving the right model. Reduce sales channel cost. This drives some key questions for me. Are you deploying your sales resource in the most effective way? Are you deploying very skilled and expensive field sales talent against some very transactional and cost-focused clients? Reducing sales channel cost is to promote efficiency in your operation, protecting current revenue and future growth, in particular, bottom line growth. Let's swing across to the right-hand side of the sheet here. Key deliverables. As you can see, they're all aligned to objectives. Future model. This is a development of a journey you want your client to have. Look at it from a short-term, mid-term, and long-term perspective. This will be an ongoing process. Productivity, client service improvements. Validation is very much required around this space. Are you reaching and touching more clients? Are you having more client conversations? Are you having longer conversations with that client? And are you responding to clients' needs in a quicker and more efficient way? I would ask the question, are you building more pipeline? And are you converting more business? Channel shift and associated savings. Inside sales, this is fact, reduce cost of sales between 40 to 90% relative to field outside sales. Key note here, this is not cutting sales costs only. This is absolutely driving revenue streams as well. Fully utilizing the lower cost sales channel of inside sales delivers a more cost-effective structure without question. Okay, so now let's look to put this plan in action. We sometimes neglect the importance of these points. I guess this is our change management slide. Similar themes in many of the bullets here, but I definitely want to make reference to the first one. Speed in definition and implementation. My experience here indicates accelerated deployment has reduced business risk. Move quickly here. The next 3 points have the same thought process. Really, it's about take ownership, make decisions quickly, be accountable for driving the plan forward. And lastly, preparation. You will require support, no question. Ensure you get adequate support and resource internally or look for this externally throughout this process. Okay. Looking at considerations and dependencies. I have mentioned 4 here. Let's go with the first one. Data validation. Have a clear understanding of your baseline. It's very important. Data cleansing is an ongoing process. Data quality is crucial to support this productivity journey you will need to go on. I would say validate all assumptions in this space, even basic assumptions like name, contact, address, telephone number. Channel capability. You must consider how you're going to acquire new clients, retain the clients you already have, and grow those clients through upsell and cross-sell. Ensure all your sales channels are in scope, including inside sales, field, dealer, distributor, etc., etc. It is also essential here to look at the quality of the salespeople in these segments. Are they at the level they should be? Implementation phasing. Creation of a phasing plan is to balance business risk. A phased approach is not only crucial, it's always actually a distinguished characteristic of a successful plan. Why? Because it allows for lessons to be learned. It helps to overcome any employee resistance, and it supports better adoption. Also, finally on this point, you can note how your competitors respond to your changes. Investments. Having the ability to make strategic scalable investments in sales tools to drive revenue. You may also need to look at effective leverage of your existing platforms to improve customer lifecycle experience. Example of investment here is web infrastructure and capability. Okay, so I wanted to stick up a slide that represents what I'm hearing in the environment right now. And execs, I'm trying to get a good understanding from what execs are saying about inside sales. Because again, it's very important to get their support, but it's been fantastic. Today's traditional sales organizations are changing. We're responding to buying behaviors, new technology, and driving efficiencies. And I think this has been recognized by the execs of this world. And some leading people that I've spoken to have, again, I've quoted them down here, some of them, and I can read out some of these. Fascinating dynamics. You know, your average face-to-face rep could not do what they do dealing with the rejection. This is very, very powerful language, and it really drives a complete support for inside sales. And again, it just was something that was hugely important because this support mechanism will be required as you drive inside sales through this process. So now on to pillar number 2, where we will be looking at the dynamics of people and building that inside sales team. Each point here has equal relevance. I'm looking to go through each one in detail and starting with define career path. A career path is about laying down your foundation. It's the key to creating a right culture which everybody is looking for. Inside sales model is evolving all the time, and it's important to articulate that career opportunities exist within. The end result includes higher retention, greater dedication and loyalty. The diagram on the right here is trying to reflect that career path through the process. Sales discipline and role responsibility. This relates to optimizing for productivity. Specialization of roles drive performance. So therefore, your rep needs to have a complete understanding of what's required of him and the role. So it's all about the role, the responsibility, the makeup of what they are accountable for. They've got to be crystal clear on this. Compensation plans. Let's be honest here. Great salespeople want to be recognized and rewarded. There are many ways to do both. Compensation plans or sales remuneration reinforces the goals of your company and the program it has set. It's also one of the key tools used to, without question here, attract talent, retain that talent, and motivate that talent. Sales methodology. This is an important subject for me. It's one I really think very carefully on, and I have a very strong opinion in this. In an inside sales world, managing and growing accounts over the phone is a challenge that requires a unique type skill and mindset. As you look to drive performance, the sales training needs to be of immediate relevance. Now, let me just say that again. It needs to be of immediate relevance. Generic field-based content simply does not work. The goal must be a sales methodology program to suit your specific needs and requirements. I believe management here have a great role to play in this process also. They are in the front line. They can reinforce this message live and daily. Performance standards. To ensure employees understand the goals of achievement in particular, it is necessary to set out clear, transparent measures of performance. These standards need to relate to their specific roles. Don't underestimate the importance of this process. This drives focus, especially using leading indicators like pipeline management and activity. They're two in particular that I really closely watch. The intention is to build a high-performing team. Therefore, performance improvement should not be seen as a punitive measure, but instead a company proactively engaging to increase the level of performance. Employee engagement and personal development are last strand. When employees are engaged, let's be honest about it, they are completely aligned and connected with the company. Delivering a high-performance culture, you need to engage with your employees. You need them completely on board. Better engagement means, let's be honest, better productivity. Engaged employees are less likely to quit. And let's lastly here look at personal development. If you're genuinely interested in your employees' future development, people care. People are more loyal about this, and they are certainly more engaged. And people naturally will want to advance. How is that, Lima?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to touch on metrics and key performance indicators as well. KPIs are the spine of your business. I think everybody's aware of that. They help you understand if your company or team are on the right track. They can show you where your focus needs to be, and they very much support improvement decisions around the business. Just to give you a flavor of some of these KPIs that I personally manage, I just want to walk you through some of these. Average order value speaks for itself. Average talk time per day. How long are you spending talking to your clients? Average call volumes. How many times have you picked up the phone and made outbound calls, or inbound calls for that matter? Average proposals sent per day. You know, we're all looking to chase down business. This is one in particular that we watch very carefully as well. How many proposals are sent to clients on a daily basis? And moving on to some more, we're looking at average contracts sent per day, a bit like proposals, that one. You know, if you want contracts signed and get deals back, you've got to send the contracts out on a daily basis. Pipeline conversion is something that's very important as well, as pipeline building for that matter. So how many opportunities have you added to your pipeline? This is very much around that leading indicator process as well. And of course, everybody wants to know how many sales that people do on a daily basis. So that sales daily run rate is obviously a key one to look out for. Now I'd like to stop here and pass you on to John.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Let's talk about the technology pillar and choosing the right sales tools. Okay, choosing the right sales tools is quite daunting. This is an eye chart. It comes from CBI Insights. And they're a company that analyse the tech market. And you can see how many vendors there are in this space. And personally, I think there are many more vendors than you can see on this slide, because I know a few that aren't represented here. So, almost every customer that I talk to has a different combination of tools that promises to improve the lives of their sales teams. And I think there's huge confusion over what tools can deliver. And I'm often asked to compare our platform with tools that do a completely different job, like a social prospecting tool, for example. However, the good news is that you can apply some simple principles that will help you make the right choices. Okay, let's start with a classic. It's been around for a long time, build versus buy. So that for me is a really easy one. If you can buy it, then buy it. Only build what you cannot buy, and only if it gives you unique competitive advantage. So you may have some really talented people in your IT or engineering department, and if so, get them adding value to the business in a more impactful way. Okay? Secondly, another one that's been around for a long time, best of breed versus that integrated platform. I have seen a lot of customers sleepwalk into that best of breed scenario. I've seen it a number of times. They start with a very specific project to buy a tool that does one thing. They then get asked to find another tool to do something else. And before they know it, they're struggling to get several tools all working together. So, my advice is the same as Stephen Covey in his classic book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Start with the end in mind. If you want to provide tools that are going to cover communication, email engagement and tracking, maybe gamification, maybe you want some artificial intelligence, maybe you want account-based selling, then try and limit your vendors to the ones who can cover as many of your requirements as possible. It'll make your life easier and it will cost your company a lot less in the long run. Thirdly, there is no silver bullet. Sorry to disappoint you, there is no one tool or platform that does everything. I see a lot of customers who buy a leading CRM system and they expect it to meet all the requirements of all their sales teams. And it simply won't. A single product cannot meet the needs of every sales persona in every type and size of company in the world. So, be prepared to buy a CRM and maybe a marketing automation tool, and then to add some tools or a platform on top to deliver that maximum sales return on investment. And my final piece of advice is work out what your future state sales process needs to look like and pick the right tools to deliver it. And finally, remember that the best tools in the world are not going to deliver you value if you don't get the people, process, and change management right. Some of those things that Kevin was talking about a little earlier on. Okay, let's move on to something else. The classic 3 pillars are that people, process, and technology. But I think there's a 4th pillar that is increasingly important and critical for success in today's sales world, and that is data. But before I start talking about data and science and how it's going to help you sell more, let's talk about the wider transformation that's taking place in sales. Okay, the world of sales changed with the internet. And for the younger people listening, yes, there was a time when we did not have the internet. So, what the internet has driven is online commerce, online communication, and online collaboration. And in doing so, it has changed the leaders in the technology world. So people talk about FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google as the new technology giants. So let's focus first on Amazon. They changed the consumer buying experience by analyzing customer data, and that allowed them to target the right people with the right offer at the right time. The advantage that Amazon had was that they had 84 million transactions a month as far back as 2005. So they had this incredible amount of data, and they took advantage of it. In fact, each of the FANG group have an incredible amount of consumer data, and they exploit it very successfully. In the B2B world, companies have CRM systems that are generating mountains of data, but they are less advanced in their usage of that data. So why is that? Okay, well, it is all about the data. And I am sure that we all have our favorite statistic about how much data we are creating. Here's mine. 90% of the world's data has been created in the last 12 months. But only 3% of it is actually being analyzed. So we're still treating data the same way we did for the last 30 years. We're not exploiting that data to improve our customers' buying experience or to accelerate the sales process. I have another interesting statistic. Salespeople spend 50%, yes, 50% of their time on deals that do not close. Can you imagine that? We found this out by looking at 10 million of the transactions that we have in our crowdsourced database. So that is an incredible statistic. So I would suggest that if the customer ends up not buying, then that is not a great buying experience. So if we could use data to prioritize our sales efforts, we would sell more and give customers an improved buying experience, and that must be a good thing. So my advice is understand what data you have. Buy tools that can analyze this data and deliver actionable insights to the sales reps in a way that's going to help them sell more. So for example, if you have data that could be used to predict which of your leads will become customers, then contact them first. Or maybe you've got data that could predict which customers might leave you. And if so, then contact them well before they do. And then finally, some advice about the different types of data. Okay, not all data is created equal. So here we've got the continuum of data accuracy and refresh frequency, from left across to the right. So on the left-hand side, we have got that mandatory self-declared data. It's the type of data that you maybe give the government tax department. So the reality of that is you only provide the minimum and usually provide it as late as possible. Next, you've got what we call the brute force data providers, such as Hoovers. So here they have teams of call center agents spending their days calling people and updating the data. But reality is, people change jobs quite frequently, and this data is often out of date. Next, we have what we call voluntary self-declared data, like LinkedIn or Facebook. And this is usually quite up to date, but it suffers a little bit from self-curation. And by that I mean that LinkedIn profile may paint a rosy picture of an individual's career, and I'm sure that everyone's picture on LinkedIn is the most up-to-date and not sort of 5 or 10 years ago. And then finally on the right-hand side, we have what we consider the best type of data. We call it passive crowdsourced data. So it's right up to date and as accurate as possible because it is collected automatically. This is the kind of data that's going to deliver you the most accurate insights and hence add most value. So to summarize, the quality and quantity of your data is going to decide how much business value it can deliver. So finally, don't forget about your data. Kevin, back to you.
Thank you again, John. Now let me summarize for everybody. We have discussed our 4 key pillars. That's process, people, technology, and data. And I just want to make reference to what I said at the very beginning, that these are big subjects to condense into a short presentation. But I hope John and I have succeeded in giving you at least a basic guide to build up your own framework. Final question, why switch to an inside sales model? I have outlaid here some of the outcomes that I have personally witnessed over the last number of years. Some companies have proven beyond doubt that a 50K plus deal can be delivered over the phone. I urge you to believe that this is possible because it's currently happening in the UK right now. Replacing a field sales rep with an inside sales rep can reduce your cost by 40 to 90%. You do the maths. This is real. We are currently seeing inside sales groups maintaining revenue streams, and in most cases, they become the growth engine. Inside sales defines a new coverage model. Engaging with your clients every day, keeping them informed, making them feel secure in that business relationship. Interaction with a client on the telephone and web has become perfectly acceptable from a client's perspective. You just ask your clients. You may find that they actually prefer it. And my last point is that inside sales model gives you agility, yes, flexibility and mobility to ensure faster response times for your clients, which of course will enhance the client journey. Finally, I would like to take this last opportunity to just very quickly speak about the AAISP. This is an international association dedicated to advancing the profession of inside sales across the globe. The founder and chairman, Bob Perkins, is a great guy who's done a fantastic amount of work. And the great news here in particular is that we've set up a chapter based in the UK. And if you'd like to know more about this, please click on the link on the right-hand side of the screen. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Very much, Kevin and John. Very, very insightful. So we have had some questions throughout the webinar. So we'll head straight into these. So this one's from Paul. My sales team is predominantly inbound focused. However, we would like to start introducing some outbound into the mix, perhaps with some account-based selling. Do you have any recommendations? So I'll pass this one over to John, I think.
Okay, yeah, no, great question. So thank you for that, Paul. It's quite a common question. We have a lot of customers who predominantly focus on inbound, and they start to find that they're not necessarily driving enough inbound leads for their team or sales team. So what they want to do is start to introduce some outbound. In terms of maybe even account-based selling, so the recommendation I'd go with there is start maybe by blending team. If you've got an individual who's really got the right kind of potential for doing some outbound because they're predominantly a little bit different to their inbound colleagues, pick a tool that's going to support the ability to do inbound and outbound. If you want to do account-based selling, then obviously you need a tool that's going to support that in terms of allowing you to target certain accounts. It's good that if you maybe introduce more sophisticated contact strategy as well, maybe involving multi-channel, because we know that a multi-channel engagement strategy is more likely to get you that contact. So start with that sort of blended, maybe introducing some outbound into your certain individuals in your team. And then if that really picks up, you might get to a point where you could start to maybe specialize. So you maybe split your team into part of it being inbound and part of it being outbound. That would be my recommendation. But no, good question.
Great, thank you very much, John. We have had a second one here, which I think could probably be one for you, John, as well. So this one's from Louise, and she says, I'm hearing a lot about AI in the media. Is this technology futuristic, or is it available today?
Okay, no, that's a good question, Louise. I see a lot of it in the media as well. Interestingly, machine learning has been around for a long time. It's back in the 50s. I think a gentleman from IBM got a machine to start playing checkers or drafts, as we call it in the UK. So that's been around a long time, but now we're starting to see it applied practically, particularly in sales and other parts of business. In terms of the application, it is still sort of fairly early days in terms of adoption. But for example, talking about ourselves and our customers, we've had predictive capability or artificial intelligence in the product for a number of years. And we've got some real customer stories of where they are using that to build what we'd call propensity models around leads, for example, which leads are going to convert, which opportunities are the ones that are going to close. So some of our customers, for example, one of them in the States called Outbound Engine is quite a slick outbound organization. They're already doing their own sort of data analysis, working out who to prospect. When we put in our predictive or our AI capability, we were able to do much more accurate prioritization. So they're talking to the best prospects first, and that gave them an uplift of 12% in their revenue. So you can see that today AI is capable of delivering real benefits if you've got the right kind of data. And my expectation as well is that we're right at the beginning of this evolution or revolution within selling, where I think AI will start to do more and more for the sales organization, giving also our customers a better buying experience. So it's not just about the organizations selling more, but also, if you are a customer and people are trying to sell to you things that you want to buy, that's going to be a much better buying experience for customers as well. So that's a great question, and it's very exciting times.
Great, thank you very much. So we have actually had some questions here for Kevin. So let's find this one. Okay, so this one's for you, Kevin. So do you really think that you can close a 5 or 6 figure deal over the phone in the UK?
I had a feeling this question would come. Absolutely yes is the answer to that. Categoric yes. I think managing clients over the phone certainly has its challenges, and in today's environment have seen definitely changes in buying behaviors. But we have recognized and seen certain numbers and figures come through certain companies within the UK, and it absolutely has come across that this is possible. Clients understand this as well, and I think what we're looking at is once you have an organization that's willing to go down this route, you will understand that the clients are perfectly accepting this as normal practice as well. So yes is a definite answer to that one.
Great, yeah, excellent, as I thought. So another question for you here, Kevin. So is there a separate career path developing for the inside sales professional?
This is a very important question, Alex, as well, and it's very close to my heart, this particular one, because I think there's huge strides, certainly in the UK, we are seeing in inside sales in this area. Generally speaking, a few years back, I guess the progression was into a field sales role, which is good as well in itself, but I think what we're looking at now is very clear career paths defined within inside sales, and we're seeing a lot of UK companies now build their sales reps into team leaders, to sales managers, and then directors, and actually vice presidents of inside sales. And certainly we're seeing a number of them in the UK and Ireland. So yes, I'm really glad to say we are seeing a huge development of this process as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kevin. So that's actually all we've got time for today. So a really big thank you to John and Kevin for joining us. Some excellent stuff covered today. Just a quick note to say that the webinar will be available on demand within the next 24 hours. and also to keep your eye out for other webinars in the series, which will be promoted very soon. And you can always join us on Twitter and LinkedIn, so both Kevin and John are on there. And you can also join the conversation about the Inside Sales webinars using hashtag #InsideSalesWebinars. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone for joining today, and we will see you next time.